Good evening, students. In this session of the video, we will learn about close reading, a very important reading strategy. Close reading is a careful, detailed interpretation of a short passage of a text. It is a method of literary analysis and it focuses on understanding how the text works. It involves careful examining of a text to understand its meaning and how the author conveys it. The purpose of close reading is to analyze what the author says and how they say it. The focus of close reading will be on word choice, imagery, syntax, punctuation, specific language structure, and literary devices to create deeper meaning rather than just summarizing the plot or main idea. So the students, while demonstrating a close reading technique on a text, they have to focus on word choice, imagery, syntax, punctuation. Look at the literary devices like metaphor, imagery, symbols, etc. Understand the tone, point of view, and context. Explore the multiple meanings or ambiguities in the text. For example, reading a Shakespearean sonnet and analyzing how metaphor and rhythm express the emotions is an example of close reading. This kind of reading is done with an intention to improve writing skills. You read as a writer, noticing the techniques, styles, and structures you might use. Close reading helps to write effectively by seeing how others write. Some of the key factors of close reading are detailed analysis of language, that is, paying close attention to word choice, sentence structure, and how the author uses language to create specific effects. Close reading also involves examination of literary devices by identifying and analyzing how metaphors, similes, imagery, symbolism is used to understand how they contribute to the text's meaning. The focus will be on form and structure. Close reading analyzes how the text is organized, including its structure, patterns, and how these elements contribute to the overall message of the text. Close reading gives a deeper understanding, that is, moving beyond the surface level understanding to explore the text's deeper meanings, implications of the text, and connections to broader themes or contexts. Close reading develops a well-supported interpretation of the text based on the evidence gathered through close reading. To summarize, close reading is about becoming an active reader, not just passively absorbing information, but engaging with the text and questioning its meaning. Close reading uncovers deeper meanings, finding nuances and subtleties that might be missed in a casual reading. It helps how authors observe, how they open organize, and conclude their writing. The students have to notice sentence structures, tone, and genre conventions. They have to look and learn from good examples, what works and why. Then they have to apply what they learn in their own piece of writing. Close reading develops strong analytical skills. It helps to identify and analyze literary elements which can be applied to other texts and contexts. So, how to start a close reading? Close reading is a very in-depth, careful analysis of a short text. The thesis or the assumption of close reading is that it must argue why and how this reading is important in a context beyond the text itself. Fine, how to start reading a text closely? First, you have to do the literal reading. First, you read to understand on a literal level what is going on in the passage. Ask questions like who, what, when, where, why, and how. Identify figures of speech. Does the passage contain significant metaphors, similes, allegory, personifications, ellipses, alliteration, etc.? Search for these figures of speech. Try to look into the grammatical structure, the syntax or word arrangement, grammar, parallel structures, grammatical repetition, punctuation, length and structure of the sentence or line, ambiguous pronouns, word choice, overabundance of nouns, verbs, adjectives, etc. So try to look into all these technical grammatical aspects which gives the structure to the piece of text. Identify images and themes. Words within a passage can evoke previous scenes, images or ideas that the text has already presented. You can often build a strong argument by analyzing a repeating image in a text. Identify such repeating images and look for the strong argument presented there. Another element of close reading is analyzing the passage in a broader text, that is the context. When you analyze a passage, we are temporarily taking it out of context. Make sure that you can put it back into context. That is, how does this passage connect with the rest of the work, rest of the text? After you have some idea about the literal meaning, form and structure of the passage, figures of speech used there, themes, images and context, develop an idea of what your passage communicates. A good close reading thesis statement should be clear, concise, argumentative and specific. Close reading means paying close attention to a text and reading it carefully to understand. It is an important alternative to superficial reading of words in a text without actually understanding what they mean or what the author was trying to say. The purpose of close reading is to help a reader to form conclusions about a text's overall meaning. This is useful for understanding the text or when writing a paper about the text. For scholars, Close reading is citing specific textual evidence to support conclusions drawn from the text. Close reading is a mode of analysis that moves a reader beyond comprehension of a text to interpretation of the text. Close reading is used to uncover and explore the text's underlying ideologies, ideas that are socially, culturally constructed. When we close read, we look at both what the text says and how it says. Okay, here are some examples. The first step is to read and observe. Second step is to interpret what you notice. Close reading is not the only way to usefully and productively engage with the text. It is often a useful mode of analysis because it is so grounded in the text, digging deeply into its layers of meaning. Here are some simple examples of close reading. Analyzing a single sentence. The old man, his face itched with stories of 1,000 storms, shuffled slowly across the dusty square. Okay, this is the simple line. So once you read the line, how to do close reading? If you can identify the phrase, itched with the stories of 1,000 storms, you can identify the metaphor. So this phrase describes the man's weathered face. The metaphor suggests the old man's life filled with hardship and experience. The slow pace indicated by shuffled slowly. Shuffled slowly is a phrase which indicates the slow speed of the words. It emphasizes the old man's age and weariness. These lines focus on the impact of specific word choices and their contribution to the overall tone and characterization. So close reading helps to understand why such specific word choices contribute to the overall tone and characterization of the old man. There is another example, identifying the literary device. The original sentence will be like this. The silence was a heavy blanket suffocating the room. For close reading, this sentence uses a metaphor. You have to identify this figure of speech. The silence here is compared to a heavy blanket. The word suffocating adds to the sense of oppression and discomfort. This suggests that silence is not just absence of sound, but a powerful, almost tangible force. When close reading, these are the techniques which you have to use: identifying the literary devices and trying to look into the arrangement of words, word choices. Here are some more examples. The silence was so profound it felt like a physical presence. This sentence uses personification, giving silence a tangible quality. Silence is given the quality of a person to emphasize the intensity of the quietness. There is another example. His words like carefully chosen daggers, pierce the veil of pretense. The words are compared to daggers, suggesting their sharp, impactful, and potentially harmful nature. When you identify these figures of speech, the meaning goes deeper. You can understand the intensity or harmful nature of his words. The setting sun bled across the horizon, painting the sky in hues of fiery anger. These phrases used in this sentence gives an image of setting sun, a visual image. And sun is compared to a person. The whole figures of speech convey a sense of drama and intensity in the sunset. Please go through these examples in detail, and then you can understand the way in which close reading helps you to explore the meanings. In the last video, we learnt about critical reading. Let me give some hints as to how close reading and critical reading are different. Close reading focuses on analyzing the text itself, whereas critical reading involves evaluating the text and its claims. Close reading examines the language, structure, and details of a text to understand its meaning, while critical reading questions the author's assumptions, biases, and logic. Both are important for a thorough analysis of any text. Close reading is like taking the text apart to see how it works, while critical reading is like stepping back to evaluate its overall impact and validity. Dear students, I hope you have understood this reading analysis technique called close reading. Please go through these sentences and identify the figures of speech, how the text is constructed, how its structure is formed, how the author has chosen words carefully to communicate certain feelings or emotions. Thank you for watching.